Hello, horror fans. Get ready to dive into another spine-chilling episode here on Disturbing Stories. Today, we're exploring stories that will test your nerves and keep you wide awake at night. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, don't wait. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss one of our terrifying tales. And if you enjoy a good scare, give us a thumbs up and share this video with your friends so they can join our community of fear enthusiasts too. Buckle up and get ready for the terror to begin. Story 1. The Deadly AD. Imagine starting your day with a simple search for vintage furniture to decorate your new home. You find an enticing ad on Craigslist offering antique furniture at irresistible prices in a garage sale out in the country. The photos show exactly what you're looking for, pieces that will be the perfect finishing touch for your decor. You decide to check it out, and upon arrival you come across an old, isolated house, a bit off the beaten path. An elderly couple, who at first seem friendly, greet you with smiles. But there's something strange in the air, an uneasy feeling you can't quite explain. As you enter the house, you see old furniture everywhere, each piece somehow looking sinister. Maybe it's the age or the way the light hits them, but something feels off. While picking out some items, you notice a slightly open door leading to a basement. Curiosity gets the best of you, and you decide to take a peek. What you see inside chills you to the bone. The basement is filled with boxes labeled with names, all packed with personal items for missing persons. Realizing the danger, you leave the furniture behind and run out, leaving everything behind. Days later, the police investigate the place and discover the couple is suspected of being involved in a series of disappearances in the area, but lack of evidence means they are never arrested. The story fades from the media, but what you saw never leaves your mind. Imagine if you had decided to go down those stairs. If the story gave you the chills, hit that like button now. Story 2. The Missing Tenant. The second story starts simply. A young student, desperate to find a cheap place to live, comes across an ad on Craigslist that seems perfect. The room is in a large house in what appears to be a quiet area, and the price is well below market. The photos show a modest but cozy room, and the homeowner seems to be a friendly and trustworthy person. When the student arrives, the house looks a bit run down, but need makes him ignore the warning signs. He is greeted by a middle-aged man, somewhat eccentric but seemingly harmless. In the beginning, everything seems fine, but soon he begins to notice strange things. The homeowner never leaves, is always around, and seems to be constantly watching him. At night, the student hears footsteps in the hallway, but every time he checks, no one is there. Tension builds and he decides it's time to leave. But when he tries to exit, he finds all the doors locked from the inside. Panic sets in as he realizes he's trapped. With great effort, he manages to escape through the bathroom window, but what he discovers next is even more disturbing. That room had been rented several times before, and previous tenants were never seen again. They just disappeared without a trace. Would you have the courage to rent a room after hearing this story? If so, subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends, because the worst is yet to come. Story 3. The Dark Buyer. The next story involves a common sale, something many people do without a second thought. Selling a used car. A man decided to sell his car on Craigslist, and soon received an offer. The buyer seemed like an ordinary, polite person ready to close the deal. They arranged to meet in a public parking lot, a place where theoretically he would be safe. First, everything seemed normal. The buyer arrived on time, introduced himself, and started inspecting the car. But as soon as the seller handed over the keys, the mood changed drastically. The buyer, who until then seemed harmless, pulled out a gun and ordered the man to get in the car. The seller was taken to a deserted road, where he was bound and thrown into the trunk. Fear and desperation took over, but fortunately, he managed to free himself and escape before anything worse happened. The trauma of that night never left his mind, and the worst part is that the attacker was never found. The car was discovered months later, abandoned in a parking lot, but the buyer vanished without a trace. If the story left you on edge, imagine what's coming next. Hit that like button and keep watching, because we have 2 more scary stories ahead. Story 4. The Evil Nanny. Being a babysitter is a common job, especially for young people needing extra cash. But for one young woman, accepting this job was the beginning of a true nightmare. She found the ad on Craigslist. A family needed a babysitter for 2 children in a large, isolated house. The pay was great, and the family seemed friendly in initial conversations. On the first night, everything seemed normal. The children went to bed, and the house fell silent. But soon, the young woman began to hear strange noises coming from the basement. Thinking it was just her imagination, she ignored it. But the noises continued, and soon, the lights started flickering. Determined to find out what was happening, she went down to the basement, where she found the door ajar, as if waiting for her. Against her instincts, she entered, and what she saw left her paralyzed. A strange altar, with symbols she couldn't identify, surrounded by extinguished candles. The place seemed recently used, but no one was there. Terrified, she ran to get the children and leave, but upon reaching the room, she discovered the children had disappeared. Desperate, she called the police, but when they returned to the house, it was completely empty, as if no one had lived there for years. What happened that night remains a mystery, but the fear she felt will never be forgotten. And would you have the courage to take a job after hearing this story? If you're enjoying these tales. Story 5. The Last AD. Our final story involves a tempting offer. Free furniture. Perfect for anyone moving in and needing to furnish a home without spending much. The Craigslist ad seemed legitimate, with detailed photos of the items and a convincing explanation. The woman interested in the ad went to the agreed-upon location, a modest house in a quiet neighborhood. When she arrived, she was greeted by a friendly but slightly nervous man. He invited her inside to see the furniture, which was on the upper floor. Despite feeling an increasing sense of discomfort, she agreed. But as soon as she crossed the threshold, the man locked the door behind her and tried to attack her. Struggling with all her might, she managed to escape and ran to get help. What she discovered next was even more disturbing. That man had posted the same ad multiple times, and several people who responded to it had simply vanished. The police were called, but the man was never found. To this day, the case remains unsolved, and Craigslist continues to be a place where anything can happen. If you made it this far, it means you're as brave as the characters in these stories. Don't forget to subscribe to Disturbing Stories and hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Share this video with someone who needs a good scare, and see you next time. Remember, not everything that seems like a good deal really is.